Morning, everybody. Our local newspaper here in Washington County, Maryland, the Old Gray Lady with Multi-Infarct Dementia, the Herald Mail, publishes a regular feature called Mail Call, which prints anonymous comments that have been phoned or emailed in by readers. Over the years, Mail Call has evolved from a complete waste of ink and paper to a complete waste of ink and paper that offers a chilling glimpse into the collective psyche of my local area. It's nothing that'll make you proud to be a Washington Countian, but it does provide a helpful reminder to lock your doors before you go to bed at night and always keep a close track on your children and pets. The calls I'm about to make smart-ass remarks about are taken from mail calls printed in the Herald Mail between April 3rd and April 19th, 2010. To the proud Democrat, the one that said he's proud to be a Democrat. I used to be a proud Democrat, but no more, because you see, I don't believe in abortion, Hagerstown. So not believing in abortion means you can't be a Democrat? That's a little ridiculous. I don't believe in Adam and Eve. Does that mean I can't be a Republican? Actually, it might. Here's one from Williamsport. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but on the regular television channels, I've noticed that lately there's been a lot of bad language on a lot of these shows. I notice it's slowly starting to creep in, and I guess it's because no one's complained. And then we complain that the vice president and his potty mouth says some foul language that gets caught. There's no more decency. I think the only way to keep this foul language from our airways or even on the street is to not stand for it. Dennis Franz was showing his ass and calling people a dickhead in prime time on ABC 15 years ago, and you're just now noticing that it's starting to creep in? As for nobody complaining, I assume you've never heard of L. Brent Bozell, who, along with his fellow closet perverts at the Parents Television Council, has made a career of bitching to the FCC about profanity and sexuality on TV. He does his best every day to make every moment of broadcast and cable television as bland and inoffensive as possible, and Williamsport, he sounds like just your kind of fella. I'm sorry, but any adult who says S-word and F-word instead of shit and fuck has a bit more growing up to do yet. Anyway, here's one from Hagerstown. You can't compare Obama to George Washington. George Washington never told a lie. Obama never told the truth. Here's one from Mercersburg. Chuck the Easter Bunny. Is anybody else offended by the pink bunny jumping up and down on the weather calendar on the TV stations? Easter is the most special day in the Christian year, the time when Jesus died, was buried, and rose again. It is a historically documented event of great joy in the Christian community, and since America is still a Christian nation, let's celebrate that. I'm not offended by the Easter Bunny, but I'll tell you what I am offended by. Christians telling me that I have to feel simultaneously guilty and grateful for the gruesome public execution of somebody on the other side of the world 2,000 years ago. There's a church near here that still has a sign out front that reads, Easter Jesus, tortured, died, risen for you. No, sorry, wrong. I didn't kill Jesus. He didn't die for me, and I'm certainly not going to claim any benefit, imaginary or otherwise, from his horrific death. Nobody who goes to that church had anything to do with the death of Jesus either, but if they want to take credit for it, that's their business. Myself, I'm perfectly happy to have nothing to do with it whatsoever. As for the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus being a documented event, I'll be generous and give you 2 out of 3. Now, here are a few calls published over several days about global warming that demonstrate you can be on the right side and still not have the slightest idea what you're talking about. First from Hagerstown. For all the people that called this winter scoffing at global warming theories, what do you think about now, with the temperature over the 90s, over 25 degrees warmer than it should be? Global warming climate change is the real reason, and it is happening. You need to be concerned about it. Here's one from someone who accepts global warming, but somehow thinks it's Al Gore's fault. These high temperatures yesterday are ridiculous. It's 13 degrees above normal out here and in April, and it's going to ruin our crops. I blame all this on Al Gore and all this global warming stuff, and these liberals are just ruining the country, and I hope the Tea Party people vote them all out and everything can return back to normal. Smithsburg. Not a combination you see too often. Here's one from Williamsport. I see we had record high temperatures on Tuesday and Wednesday. I guess Al Gore was right. We are experiencing global warming. And here's another one from Hagerstown. I'm responding to people in mail call on Monday, April 12. Some of them up in here from Hagerstown and all about global warming. They're talking about one day that was up to 90 degrees the 1st of April. Well, you know something? I wish it had hit 100 myself, because they're putting these spaceships up in the sky and everything. That's changing the atmosphere. NASA. You got so many space Sputniks and stuff up in the sky up there. That's what it is. And I don't believe in global warming, and you aren't going to convince me of global warming change. All you people want to do is make Al Gore rich. So go ahead and make Al Gore rich. Too late. These people have their hearts in the right place. Most of them anyway. But they're still wrong. This past winter, we got a fuck ton of snow around here, and a lot of the global warming deniers tried to use that as evidence to argue that climate change must be a hoax. Those people are morons. Now, the first week of April, we had some unseasonable warmth, and those who accept global warming tried to use that to argue that global warming was real. I'm sorry to say, they're morons too. Global warming, by definition, is a long-term, worldwide phenomenon. It's an upward trend in the Earth's average global temperature. It isn't disproven by heavy snowfall in the eastern United States in winter, and it isn't proven by a few hot days in Maryland the first week of April. Here's one from Hagerstown on another subject. If the Obama administration and Homeland Security would just pay a little bit of attention to Jack Bauer, I think a lot of our terrorism problems would be solved. Why do conservatives have such a hard-on for 24? Is it just because Jack Bauer is so keen to point his gun in people's faces and torture terrorists? I've never watched the show, but the impression I get is that 90% of 24 is just Jack Bauer waving a gun around and torturing people. Am I that far off? Also, isn't there a major civilization-threatening, pushed to the brink of Armageddon terrorist threat every single year on that show? It seems like the Jack Bauer strategy doesn't even work that well for Jack Bauer on his own show. Why would anyone want to try it in real life? From Halfway. Free rent, free medical care, free transportation, free food. Where can I get free cigarettes? Here's a lovely little call from Cozy Town Road. Notice, we know who 5 of the 9 boys were that tried to break into our garage Saturday night. The police have been notified and the parents have been notified, and why they're taking up for these children, I don't know. And why are they let out after midnight anyway? My kids are in bed at 9. Why aren't these children in bed? And I mean, if they do it again, they're going to be sorry, because I intend to purchase a weapon this week. What? First, if you know who 5 of the 9 children who tried to break into your garage are, why aren't you settling this with them and their parents in person? Why is this in the paper at all? Second, and especially if these attempted burglars are children young enough to be going to bed at 9 p.m., what's with publicly threatening to shoot them if they come back? I know Cozy Town doesn't specifically say gun, he says weapon, but come on, should I infer that he's going out to purchase a balisong? They're great for home protection. What goes through your mind before you decide to publicly threaten to shoot a child? Here's an even better question. What goes through your mind before you decide to publish this asshole's threat in your bullshit podunk newspaper? Here's one from Kearneysville, West Virginia. I'd just like to respond to the Hagerstown caller's comment about the Glenn Beck show on Fox News. As one who watches the Glenn Beck show on a regular basis, it is obvious to me that you didn't sit and really listen to the Glenn Beck show. He's like a voice crying in the wilderness, warning people. Our country is trillions of dollars in debt. We've departed from the Constitution, both by Republican leadership and Democrat leadership over the decade. I agree, Glenn Beck is like a voice crying in the wilderness. The voice of a rabid hyena. But for the hyena crying less and possessing far more psychological stability, despite the rabies, this would be a flawless analogy. Thanks for watching.